In brief moments, we mark our beginning. In compassion, we find freedom. Welcome to your ledger, where you author your story. Episode 19 of The Quiet Ledger, The Calm Negotiation. Please remember that the TQL series offers gentle guidance and metaphorical frameworks for financial wellness. This is not professional financial, legal, or therapeutic advice. Always consult a qualified professional before making specific financial decisions. Welcome, I am Teach, the mediator. Last time we kindled the inner fire and explored what kind of fuel sustains our motivation across time. Today, we enter the quiet room, learning to bring that same inner steadiness into the conversations we have with others. Phase 2 has asked us to look at what we protect, what we invest in, what we flow with, and what genuinely moves us. Now it asks what happens when our life meets another person's. The mediator knows that conversations about money can be among the most layered we have. They carry history. They carry expectation. For those of us whose lives have moved across places, systems, and cultures, they often carry patterns learned in more than one world at once. The quiet room offers a different quality of space, one where that history can be present without directing the outcome. Let us anchor ourselves in the now. Breathe in deeply, gathering the stillness, and breathe out, releasing tension in your jaw and shoulders. One more, inviting calm focus, and out, settling the mind into peace. You are perfectly safe here. The quiet room. The mediator enters it to understand what becomes possible when both sides of a conversation can be present in steadiness. Consider how conversations about money tend to arrive in a life, a request from family that carries weight beyond the number itself, a negotiation with an employer or client across a system that carries its own unfamiliar logic, a discussion with a partner or household member where money is the surface and something deeper is the actual subject. For those managing competing demands across unique and complex circumstances, these conversations carry an additional layer, the patterns built to manage expectations that arrive from multiple directions at once. The particular steadiness of someone who has learned that a misstep in a new environment carries what followed that feel larger than they would elsewhere. The quiet room asks what happens in the space before we respond. In that pause, something becomes available. That clarity arrives when given room. The mediator lives in that pause. The quiet room is built there. The mediator also understands that the pause is the most active moment in a conversation, the moment when what we bring and what is actually being asked can be seen clearly before a response moves. Today we practice entering it and extending that pause, one breath further than usual. The quiet room deepens with practice. The pause is always available. A steady awareness guides our time with the calm negotiation offered by William James, who spent a lifetime studying how people actually change through the real shift in what they are willing to consider. The greatest discovery of any generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitude. His words name something the mediator practices unhurriedly. This is what the calm negotiation invites us to explore. In a shared money conversation, a difficult one where both people arrive with fixed positions. This is the teaching the mediator brings to the table. The terms of a conversation can shift. The facts may remain unchanged, but the attitude brought to those facts can open what felt closed. What you are willing to hear, what you allow yourself to consider, what you make possible by arriving with real openness. James called this a discovery, as if it has always been true, waiting to be found in the middle of a real conversation. The mediator carries this discovery into every conversation where the outcome matters. The mediator realizes that the calm brought to a conversation is the attitude. That changes what becomes available. What you are willing to hear shapes what the other person is willing to offer. What you make possible by arriving with honest openness often exceeds what either person arrived expecting. Our first anchor is orientation. There's often a moment when a conversation begins and something shifts before a word is spoken. You might bring attention to what arises in you during conversations and moments of coordination, the shifts in pace, the sense of urgency, the desire to protect your plans. Many of us have learned these patterns through years of moving between places, systems, and expectations. When life spans borders, public and private, professional and personal, online and in the world, geographic and emotional, and time zones, it is natural to carry habits that help us stay organized, prepared, or steady. Here, we simply notice the signals with curiosity. What arrives in your body when a conversation begins? What pattern activates before a word is spoken? The mediator watches this with care. These signals are information. The quiet room begins with knowing they are there. Our second anchor is action. I invite you to consider a conversation you have been holding in mind, one that involves money, a discussion that has felt tender or unresolved, or one that is waiting to happen. Let yourself move through the whole of it, the opening breath, the steadiness in the middle, and the hush that arrives. When two people have found their way to something together, bring the other person to mind gently. Notice what arrives in your body as you do. Not take one breath before the first word is spoken. Feel the room settle. Notice what becomes available when calm arrives first. The mediator holds this space with you. In the rehearsal, there is room to hear what the other person is carrying, room to reach toward what both of you are actually looking for. This is where mutual benefit begins, in the quiet before the words, in the breath that creates the room. Our third anchor is reframing. Many of us have noticed that conversations about money tend to carry more weight than other conversations, that the emotional charge present in those exchanges can make the practical content harder to reach. The mediator brings something different to this. Steady conversations about money create better outcomes for everyone involved. The steadiness creates a container that difficulty can move through. When we approach money conversations with some preparation, with a sincere interest in understanding what the other person is carrying, something becomes available that pressure alone cannot open. The information moves more clearly. The decisions that emerge are more durable. Each conversation handled with care adds to a shared foundation. We are cultivating the practice of bringing steadiness to these conversations, creating the conditions where honest exchange becomes possible and where better outcomes can follow. Consider the nature of a room that is still, how it receives, with patience. A conversation entered from this place moves differently. The words land more clearly. The listening deepens. The quiet room is something you carry, steady, receiving, the stillness of the room, arriving, before the words do, the space itself settling, the quality of the air. Before a conversation begins, what is possible, forming in the hush, still. Notice the space to bring stillness into the exchange. When calm arrives first, before the words, something in the other person recognizes it and settles. What you bring into a conversation shapes what becomes possible there. The steadiness you carry into the room becoming the quality of the room, the tone set before the first word, the conversation shaped. Consider the nature of stillness between two people, how it allows what is true to surface because the space was ready. Your calm presence creates that space. This is what it means to find mutual benefit in conversations. The practice travels, the stillness between two people, making space for what is true. Your calm, a gift to the conversation and to what the conversation can produce. As we return to our shared space, the calm negotiation invites a gentle shift in how we enter exchanges with others around money. This week, consider one conversation that is coming or has been sitting unresolved. Before you have it, rehearse it. Bring it into the quiet room first. Sit with it unhurriedly. See the beginning, the steady middle, and the peaceful close. Let that image settle until the conversation feels clear. The rehearsal is the practice. You are not waiting for the real conversation to find your steadiness. You are building it now, in this room, before a word is spoken. Perhaps there is room to enter the actual exchange from a place that is already seeing where it can go. The mediator offers this. Steady conversations about money create better outcomes for everyone involved, and the rehearsal is where that steadiness begins. Thank you for being here, for being willing to consider that the steadiness you bring into a conversation is itself a contribution, and that what arrives in the room before words begin shapes what becomes possible within it. In the coming days, you might find yourself noticing the moment before an exchange begins, pausing there briefly before the familiar pattern activates, perhaps discovering that what arrives in that pause serves the conversation better than urgency would have brought. Perhaps you will find that the steadiness was already present because you had rehearsed the conversation through to its peaceful close before it arrived. I am Teach, the mediator. Thank you for returning to this ledger. May you step into the days ahead, carrying the image of the conversation you rehearsed and discovering that what you saw in that ground is available to you when the real moment arrives. Until we meet again. Next time on your journey in the series, we will study the blueprint, mapping the architecture of our professional capacity and what we are building toward.